Charlie and I were on a plane recently that was hijacked.
With what?
It was hijacked. I'm telling about our experience on that hijacked plane when the hijackers picked us out as the two dirty capitalists that they really had to execute. But they were a little abashed about it. They didn't really have anything against us. So they said that each of us would be given one request before they shot us. And they turned to Charlie and they said, "What would you like as your request?" Charlie said, "I would like to give once more my speech on the virtues of Costco with illustrations." And the hijacker said, "Well, that sounds pretty reasonable to me." And he turned to me and said, "And what would you like, Mr. Buffett?" And I said, "Shoot me first."
Charlie, Matt McAllister has a question on Costco. He asks, why almost 2 years ago did you believe that the only U.S. stock worth buying, that was the only U.S. stock worth buying at that time? And why did you feel that Amazon had more to fear from Costco than Costco had to fear from Amazon? And if you believe Jeff Bezos is one of the best businessmen you have ever known, would you consider investing early in any of the new projects he will inevitably focus his attention on now that he will not have to be as concerned about the day-to-day responsibilities of Amazon?
Well, no, I'm a great admirer of Jeff Bezos, whom I consider one of the smartest businessmen who ever lived. But I won't be following him. We have our crutches, and I just don't know enough about it to want to go into that activity. And every investor, when you get into these hard questions, there's a lot of very intelligent, honorable people who reach opposite conclusions. And Costco, I do think, has one thing that Amazon does not. People really trust Costco to be delivering enormous values. And that is why Costco presents some danger to Amazon, because they've got a better reputation for providing value than practically anybody, including Amazon.
You recently talked about bubbles and high valuations in your Sohn conference talk. Is Costco a part of that? Costco has never traded at a higher price to sales or price to earnings multiple. How should new investors think about Costco given its record run?
Well, that's a very good question, and I've always believed that nothing was worth an infinite price. So at even an admirable place like Costco could get to a price where you would say that's too high. But I would argue that if I were investing money for some sovereign wealth fund or some pension fund, and a 30, 40, 50-year time horizon, I would buy Costco at the current price. I think it's that strong an enterprise and that admirable a place. Now, I'm not saying I can't bring myself with my habits to pay these big prices, but I never even think about selling a share of Costco just because it's selling at a high price. If you stop to think about it, I bought at Christmas time a flannel shirt, a bunch of flannel shirts at Costco. They cost $7 each, more or less. And it was a soft flannel, and it was better, and so forth. And then I bought pants. I think they were Orvis pants. And I paid like $7. They stretch around my waist, and they're partly water resistant, what have you. Costco is going to be an absolute titan on the internet because they got curated products that everybody trusts and huge purchasing power on a limited number of stocking units. So I'm not worried about, I'm not saying I'm buying Costco at this price, but I'm certainly not selling any. I think it's going to be a big, powerful company as far ahead as you can see. And I think it deserves its success. I think it has a good culture and a good moral ethos. And so I wish everything else in America is working as well as Costco does. Think what a blessing that would be for us all.
In the book about Charlie, Damn Right, by Janet Lowe, Charlie talks about his view on teaching finance. He says that he would use the histories of 100 or so companies that did something right or wrong as a basis for teaching the course. Could each of you, and since this concerns Charlie, could each of you, we'll start with Charlie, give us an example or two from either category, right moves or wrong moves?
I predict Charlie's going to talk about Costco. Go ahead, Charlie.
Well, Costco, of course, is a business that became the best in the world in its category. And it did it with an extreme meritocracy and an extreme ethical duty, self-imposed, to take all its cost advantages as fast as it could accumulate them and pass them on to the customers. And of course that created ferocious customer loyalty. And it's been a wonderful business to watch. And of course strange things happen when you do that and do that long enough. Costco has one store in Korea that will do over 400 million in sales this year. These are figures that can't exist in retailing, but of course they do. And so that's an example of somebody having the right managerial system, the right personnel selection system, the right ethics, the right diligence, and et cetera, et cetera. That is quite rare. And if once or twice in a lifetime you're associated with such a business, you're a very lucky person.